I really appreciate you doing this, bro. I know it's been a long time in the coming. When I initially started this podcast, there's a thing called Jatty in Cov, and I approached him and I said, "Oh, who should I interview?" And the first name he said was yours. And I know we had the schedule in the past, and my wife, I think she had COVID or she got sick, and we had to reschedule. So I'm really, really, really happy to finally get to an opportunity to
I appreciate it. The pleasure's all mine, bro.
Have this conversation. Let's get right into it. I'm inspired by your journey because I know you've had a lot of adversity. I met you back when we did the TV stuff for, was it ITV or BT?
ITV, yeah, years ago.
Yeah, so quite a long time ago. I think both.
Very long time. I think 2016. I might be wrong.
Okay, how old were you then?
18, 19 maybe.
Yeah, you seemed a lot younger. But it's incredible because even at that time you mentioned about you were in the London Championships and there were some decisions which didn't go your way. There was some really some shady stuff going on in terms of, I think you got penalized once for was it your hair?
For my hair, for my hair, that's right.
So can you go into that a bit, because I think a lesser person would have just thought, I'm at a disadvantage. It's never going to be a level playing field. I'm just going to stop.
Yeah. Do you know what it is, bro? Growing up, as a Punjabi kid with a good team, whatever, I had already experienced it, and hearing stories from my family members, I kind of, even though I didn't experience it, I kind of knew what it was like to be, or to have someone point a finger at you, or treat you slightly differently because of the way you look or what you might be or what you represent. So before I even had my first encounter myself, I already experienced it, walking down the road, for example, or stories that my family members told me. So it was kind of like, it wasn't foreign to me, if that makes sense. It was new to me because I experienced it for the first time, but I knew it was going to happen. I already knew it was going to happen. It wasn't something like, oh my God, does this stuff exist? It was like, when is it going to happen? Not is it going to happen? It's when. It was more the when for me. Like I said, my family went through it. And it was only a matter of time before I went through it. I mean, I went through it on like a everyday level, bit of silly jokes or that kind of stuff, but actually having it directly affect my, say, boxing or my opportunities, I knew it was going to happen, just a matter of when. But that kind of prepared me I knew that was always going to be a part of my journey. I knew that, whatever happens, I'm going to, like I said, because of the experiences of my family members and because of everything, I knew it was going to happen. So in my mind, I was already prepared for it to happen. And so when it did happen, it hurt me, it made me upset or whatever, but I had to carry on, because otherwise then I'd fall victim to whatever it was that was holding me back, or whatever their opinions was. Then I'd just be another number in a crowd. I couldn't do that. I couldn't let that happen. So I had to carry on. There was no other option to like sit back maybe, or maybe this isn't for me, or that kind of stuff. There was no option whatsoever. I had to carry on.
And I feel like they win, right? If you had just stopped at any point along your journey,
then that's it.
They would have won.
Done. It would have been done. That's it. Literally it. There would be nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. That was it. That would be story over, and that's it. Carry on, wake up, and I don't know, get a normal job and be a normal person. Then they'd have won 100%. But like I said, that was one of the reasons why I could not let them win.
And I guess there's a lot around this, because there was comments that Joe Rogan made, and he got a lot of stick because he used a certain word in a lot of his podcasts. And so there is that. And there was a cricketer who came out recently and said there were a lot of comments that were made, like little banter, that people consider banter, but it's not necessarily perceived as banter for the person who's the victim of it.
It's small things. For example, I'm going to interrupt you quickly. It's small things like, I was somewhere and we were just talking about training, and I was like, I'm competing soon, and a lady was automatically, she was like, oh, I'm guessing you're a cricket player. Just things like that. She might not have meant offense to me, but don't play cricket. You know what I mean? Because I'm Indian or because I'm brown skinned, you think, oh, he's a cricketer. Or things like, I went to a pet shop once to buy food, and the old lady, she's a nice lady, I know, not know her well, but I'm a regular customer. When I first started going down there, I didn't really know it. It was a new shop, and it was quite hot. The weather was really hot, and I was like, oh yeah, it's really hot, man. It must be hard working. The shop's quite small, quite tight shop. They specialise in pet food. And she was like, oh yeah, you must be used to it. And I actually didn't know what to say. I swear to God, I was like, what do I even say? And then she must have realised that she was like, I didn't want to be rude to her. She's an old lady, not an old lady, but she's older, quite a bit older. I didn't want to say anything. She was like, wait. She goes, that was the wrong thing to say. Why should you be used to it any more than I should? But it's just things like that. There are two examples. Like a lady said to me, you should be used to the hot weather. Like, why am I used to the hot weather? I was born and bred here just as most other people are. I'm not immune to the hot weather. I'm not, do you know what I mean? But it is what it is. It's like I said, it's just part of the journey. It's part of life. It's part of being it's a part of being an ethnic minority.
It's interesting you say that. I'm reading Obama's autobiography at the moment, and he talks about when he was in university and people would see him and he's tall black guy, people would say, oh, you must be a basketball player. And he felt the undertone, like why must I, there you go, he did play basketball, but
why must I be a cricket player? Why must I be used to the hot weather?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the average person might not understand. They might be like, oh, you're being weird. That's just you're overthinking. I don't mind. I don't care. Say whatever you want to me. But it's just it gets you thinking, why? Somebody who doesn't experience it or who's never had experienced it, they might not be able to relate, and they might be thinking, oh, what, this guy's he's making it up. But someone who actually experiences it on a regular basis, it affects you. Not affects you, but it just makes you understand things from a different perspective.
Yeah, I've had it when I've been in Sainsbury's and the cashiers talk to me really loudly and really slowly.
Oh shit! Yeah, I can
imagine. It was like, would you like a bag? And I think,
we do understand. We do speak English.
And educated in this country. I can speak English perfectly well just because of the way I look. There's an assumption that I can't speak English, which is I think it sounds funny, but in the moment it's kind of like, well, what about me says to you that I can't speak English?
Exactly.
But I guess it leads to a deeper question around being a minority in a land which is not your own, and whether like belonging, whether we will ever really be accepted as being British, or if there's Sikhs in.
I think it is, bro. I think it just takes time. Everything in the world takes time. In 300-400 years time, our grandkids, they'd be British just as much as the next door neighbor, regardless of where he comes from, here or there. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. These are deeper questions. It's not to say that every single person who's not an ethnic minority is racist. It's not that. It's just more so. It's something we experience, and if you haven't experienced it, you won't understand. The average, like I said, the average Englishman won't understand. Not to say that he's racist. He just doesn't understand what he says or she says. It's not just what he's saying temporarily. You look like a cricketer. It's why are you saying that I look like a cricketer? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the conversations that they've had in their head before they've said that. It just shows that that before I met her, she already had a preconception of what I was and who I was and what my life was.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the deeper part of it.
Yeah. Obama says he would go into lifts and women would hold their purses a bit tighter.
Yeah.
Just because
I've seen the video. There's a little video on YouTube about that as well.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just there is an undertone which I think unless you're of a minority group, it's probably difficult to appreciate, and how little comments like somebody at my work asked me if my wife wears a sari, and if I know what this Indian dish is, which is wrapped in a leaf. And I said to her, there's 1.4 billion people in India, and there's probably over 150 different communities and languages.
That's right.
and I have no idea what the people in this house do. I've never been there.
Yeah, exactly. They must think that it's where, again, you know, like in Britain is largely all the same. You know, you go up north, up south, they're still the same. But in India, they don't realize it's a subcontinent. I don't think most Indians realize that India is so big and so diverse. It's not because I'm from North India, I'm the same as someone who's from South. We're completely different people. We have languages different. You know, we can't understand a word of, you know, Tamil or Sri Lanka, whatever Boli they speak. We don't understand. We will never understand a word.
Absolutely,
You know,
their
but
food, their dress.
it's just education, and it takes time to help people realize.
Yeah. I guess they see a brown person, they think, oh, Indian, and they must know
Indian, yeah,
Seatal from down the road.
exactly.
But how do you deal with this? Because I think you're in a privileged position. You're one of the people in the community who, you know, younger generations look up to. They see what you're doing, they see you're in incredible shape, you're a credible athlete, and you know you've stuck to it and you've done so well to get to where you are, and your family has done so well to support you.
Yeah.
But on an everyday level, people are probably experiencing little bits of prejudice. And what kind of mindset do you have? I know it seems like it's water off a duck's back and it doesn't really impact you that much. You don't let it get to you, but what words of wisdom or what kind of mindset or frame of mind do you have to allow you for it not to impact you? Because it might be in subtle ways, like it might be with a job, you know, someone's going with like Dara Prakash and a big bed and they feel like, well, I don't really fit in the culture in this organization.
100,000,000%. Bro, listen, honestly, it comes down to how you see yourself. The confidence you have within yourself speaks louder. So I could walk into a room and I know for a fact, you know, some of the gyms I go to in Essex, I'm the only coloured person. I'm not the only Indian, I'm the only coloured person there. But when you are confident within yourself, when you can talk, someone asks you a question, you can have a reply, not and and ifs and maybes. And when someone asks you a question, for example, and they ask you who are you or where did you come from or what do you represent, and you have an answer, we're blessed with a tongue, we can communicate, but sometimes we can communicate without talking, and that comes from having confidence in yourself. That's what our gurus instilled in us. That's what our gurus taught us. If we're not confident in ourselves, then, you know, we can sit in the back of the room and we're still going to get picked on, or not picked on, but, you know, we're still going to, for example, I could walk into a room of 100 people, I could sit in the back, but people would still look at me and have a perception, or I could walk into a room of 100 people, be confident, be loud and be daring, and they're still going to have an opinion on me, but it's how I choose to deal with it. And how I deal with it is I'm a fighter, bro. I'm not going to let somebody's opinion, listen, it has affected my, you know, for example, I might have lost a fight because of a certain reason, but I'm not going to let it diminish who I am as a person. I'm not going to let someone else's opinion of me put me down. You know, why on earth should I let somebody who might think, oh, look, he smells, you know, someone with the comments on my YouTube videos, for example, you know, when you do interviews, oh, all these Sikh people smell of piss, or literally piss and oil is what he says Sikh people stink of, or he looks like he's just finished a shift at a local corner shop, or, you know, what's that thing on his head, or he looks like a terrorist, or he looks like Osama bin Laden. Why the hell should I let somebody's negative opinion on me affect my day, affect my life?
The funny thing is, I bet those people wouldn't say it to you.
It's on YouTube, man, and one day I'm gonna have to. I hate it, man. Some of the comments are crazy, you know.
There's probably some 12-year-old.
I have no idea. But I don't know who it is or what it is. But
yeah,
whatever it is, I can't let somebody else define me. I cannot. And the whole reason we wear this appearance, you know, we wear a bug, we have a dadi, is to stand out.
Yeah.
So how can I wear a bug tomorrow and not stand out, try and hide in the back? I couldn't do it.
Yeah, a couple of points of what you said. I think with the YouTube thing, I think all up and I get it. I get it, like Taliban, Bin Laden and stuff. And I think it's a shame that I get loads of people telling me I need to shave. Loads of people telling me
it's boring. Do you know what I mean? It becomes boring after a while.
Yeah, like that's
it doesn't even affect us. It's just like, oh man, give it a rest.
I think it's part of the territory, especially with YouTube. Seems like a particularly place where it's easy for people to just leave comments
To
like,
say whatever they want,
yeah, and thankfully there's the moderation button where you can you can moderate comments, but there is that part. But on the note of confidence, I feel like I've been to a few camps where there's kids there, and they really question their identity, like they want to just fit in because it
fit in
feels
100%.
easier to them. So is there any advice that you can give on confidence in terms of building a confidence? The other question around that is, my kids learned boxing for a little bit for a few months off Ian Bailey, who's a good coach around here, and he the kind of boxing crowd is probably, I would say, a little bit more intense than the crowd that you come into contact with day to day. Like there's a travelers community, there's lots of people. So you must get like the extremes of the kind of people's sentiments towards you, whereas in the like day-to-day work, no one's really going to say anything to me because they know they know there's repercussions in terms of the workplace and discrimination, all that kind of stuff. So first question was around building confidence, and the second was around how do you deal with it, because you are potentially, for someone making a comment, it's going to be a lot more easy. It's going to be easy to do that in a gym, with the kind of lad-ish environment, and you got mix of cultures.
There's two parts to the first question, bro. You said, how do we instill confidence maybe in a younger kid? The first part is, bro, I believe that having a role model helps massively. Having someone who, for example, looks like me, eats the same food as me, wears the same clothes as me, wears has a dari, or wears a kurta pajama, for example, just who looks like me, and having him in public eye for a young kid, that's massive. I think we overlook how important that is. When, for example, say tomorrow there was a Premier League footballer and he had Singh on the back of his t-shirt and he had a patka, he had a beard, and he was confident about who he was and whatever, that would give so many kids, so many upbringing kids, hope. And hope is the most important thing, bro. That right there, just that one guy. I mean, he could never talk about Punjabi issues and Sikhi, but because he looks like someone and he's relevant, I'm not saying nobody else is relevant, but because he's, we're talking about young kids in Britain, for example, but because he's a footballer, for example, kids will say, you know what, he looks at me. If he can do it, I can do it. I remember in Great Khali, growing up, I didn't really have many Sikh, in the British media kind of thing, if that makes sense, like actively who was up there. We had Great Khali, and when he come, he was like the Punjabi. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're Punjabi." I was like, "Yeah, he's from where I'm from, but he's not far." But we held on. I didn't know who he was, and if I'm honest, he's rubbish. He's a crap wrestler. But because he was Punjabi, we kind of held on to him, and not just me, but loads of Punjabi kids did. Simply because he was Punjabi and he looked like me and whatever. He come from the same place as me, so we're lucky now that there is a lot of Sikhs, coming up in society. We've got basketballers, we've got Sidhu Moosewala. Yeah, he's Punjabi industry, and he has. I don't agree with his personal opinions on his politics, but people like him, the Dosanjh, they're kind of making it cool to wear a bug, regardless of how you feel about him or how I feel about him. They are, people like Still Bangles. He's not an active, Sikh model, not model, Sikh figure. But he doesn't. But he was at the farmers rally, for example, and his name Still Bangles represents the Gada. He does talk about Sikhi and stuff. So for young kids, when they see someone like that, it inspires them massively. And it's not me saying that as Sikhs we don't have no one who's relevant. We have a lot of shaheeds and stuff. We have countless warriors and figures that are historic. But the question you asked, was about kids, and sometimes they can't relate to that. They might not be able to, for whatever reason, they can't. A kid who's grown up in an area which is mainly English, for example, and his parents, they're not very well connected to Sikhi or the history of the Shaheeds. They're not going to understand what our Shaheed did for them. When they're older, when they're 20 years old, they might be. When he's 10 years old or 12, he won't understand. He needs something that's relevant, and people might disagree, but that's the truth. That's the honest truth. the farmers rally, for example, it brought everybody together. Why? Because literally 90% of Sikh artists or Sikh figures spoke about it, and then which in turn led to people like Rihanna speaking about it, and it give people a sense of belonging. That, oh wait, my Punjab, which is really small, it's tiny in comparison to the world. Someone's talking about it, good or bad, they're talking about it. People are talking about it, and that gives people something to hold on to. And the other thing is, I believe that the confidence, that's the first part, and the second part is the confidence is given to them, if that makes sense. You know, you must teach your kid from a young age as a parent, not you, bro, but I mean, like, a parent should teach their kid who we are and where we come from, because that is everything for us. That in itself is powerful enough to give anybody confidence, but especially a young Singh or a young, a young Sikh Guri. It is what we are, what we've done, the people who we've, who in our Ardas, for example, we go to a Gurdwara, we see paintings on the wall, not just of the Gurus, but of others, prominent Sikh figures who might not be alive today, but hearing their stories, that in itself should give anybody confidence. And in particular, it should give our kids a confidence. But that comes from taking your kids to the Gurdwara, for example, teaching them about Sikhi and Sikh figures. But if their parents don't know, the kids aren't going to know. And sometimes parents are reluctant to teach their kids that. But then when they come to like 15 years old, for example, and their kids are being bullied, then they think, oh, you know what do we do now? We're stuck. They don't want to take them to the Gurdwara. The first 10 years of their life, 15 years, they didn't take them to the Gurdwara. They haven't got no Sikh friends. They haven't got knowledge about who they are. Their parents wanted to focus on their education, for example, so much that they just neglected a massive part of their upbringing, which is going to have an effect on how they grow up. We're never going to be, like I said, bro, and unfortunately, we're never going to be like, English, if that makes sense. We're never going to be that. So we shouldn't try and push our kids to be that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We should let them be confident. We should teach them to be confident in who they are and respect everybody and be strong and respect everything. Respect is a very important word, but be confident in who you are, because it will never change. Who you are will never change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And I think it brings me to a really important topic around identity. And like I was born here, you were born here, and there's this sense of being British, but there's also a sense of, with me as a father now, I've got 2 kids, I've got a third on the way, Guru Kripa, and I'm thinking about how do I keep the kids connected to where they come from. And it's not, like, it's not to say that I don't value what the opportunities that we've had here and the lifestyle that we have here, but I don't want them to lose connection with Punjab and to lose connection with their language, their history, their kind of culture. And I think that's a challenging thing for parents. I think you've obviously, your parents have done a great job with you. Like the easier thing would probably be for you to just try and fit in, but you've maintained all of these things. I've seen you on social media.
That's the thing, bro. We will never fit in. Listen, silly thing to silly comment. I celebrate Christmas. I don't go to church, but we still celebrate Christmas. I don't get presents now, but when I was younger, I used to get presents and whatnot. But that doesn't mean that in the same month that we didn't go to the Gurdwara to remember the Shahidiya of the Jar Sahibzade. Does that make sense? Like, it's not just parents think, oh, let's do Christmas, let's do Easter, let's go do this, but they won't ever take their kids to Gurdwara on Vaisakhi or Diwali or teach their kids. There's not just it's not either this or that. It's showing the kids what everything is. Because I celebrate Christmas, not to the point where I go to church, but I still celebrate. Everyone does Christmas.
Yeah,
we live in England.
I think you raise a good point around. Sorry to interrupt, but around you get to that age where your kids are 15, 16, and if they don't have a connection to the culture, then it's very difficult to bring them back at that point.
To bring them back, yeah, and then that's when they start facing. But I had a lady phoned me once, and her nephew was being bullied, and he went to private school all full of Gore. and he was about 15, 16 months to a private school, grammar school, I think it was. He was getting bullied, and she was like, you know, can you help? I said, yeah, go for it. Of course, I'll do what I can. And I was like, who is it? She goes, another Upper Munda. I said, what? She goes, school full of Gore, you know, only 2 Upper Munda, and he's bullying, he's with a couple. And it just goes to show the kid doesn't realize what he's doing necessarily, but it's his parent who they've told, you know, your kid's doing this, picking on because he's a monna, and the kid that's being bullied has a goodie, whatever. He's getting bullied because he's goodie by the kid who's trying to be like the others, but he doesn't realize that. He doesn't realize what he's just taking the mick out of a kid because he's wearing a goodie. But this is the thing in our own community where we're trying to be something we're not. We're never gonna be. It's all right if I could be something, you know, if I could be so British that one day I wake up, my color changes, and that's it. I've got a white skin or something like that. But it's not gonna happen. I will always be this. I will always have brown skin. I'll always have a beard. I'll always have a bug or a buttercup. You know, it won't change. It won't change. No matter how hard I try, it won't ever change. So I must accept what I am. And listen, I shouldn't say it. Like Conor McGregor, put middle finger up. You know, F them all, bro. Like not in a disrespectful way, but because if somebody listen. I'll make sure I'm polite to everybody and respectful. But if someone disrespects me, bro, I can't just, like I said earlier on, I can't just let it change me. Can't let it change me. I have to fight it. But listen, not everybody's racist. Not everybody's prejudiced. Not everybody's whatever. But I think it's just we're in a, I think, time period where like, some people don't want to get caught behind. Some people don't want to go too far forward, be too progressive in their ideas and in the way they bring their kids. So it's a crazy time. But
yeah,
honestly,
definitely.
bro, the only thing that saves us is the Guru God. Honestly, bro, listen, you can, not you, but you can do whatever you want. I can do whatever I want. Anybody can do their kids, but at the end of the day, the only thing that really saves us is the Guru God. It gives us everything. And that's not me just saying it. It is. We can get everything we want from the God daughter. Everything and anything. Anything we could ever want and we could hope to give anybody, it comes from the God daughter for us. And I genuinely believe that.
That's amazing. I want to pivot slightly and ask you about failure, because you had that loss. And I remember messaging you on Instagram, and I was watching the build up to that, and I saw you and I saw that guy, and I was like, he's going to smash him, right? Like, just looking at you physically, like the guy looked nothing like you. And your confidence in the pre-fight interviews as well, you could tell that you were prepared. You had done like, you know, you had done the work and everything. And I remember messaging you afterwards, because I was speaking to Jatty, and he was saying, I think you injured did you injure your nose? Or?
Yeah, I broke my nose. End of the second, middle of the second, I headbutt and broke my nose. Yeah. So it's a bit wonky if you can tell, but yeah.
It looks good. But in terms of, you got that fighter's face, but you had that anyway, because when I saw you last time, you got so many scars from cuts and stuff. but on a serious note, I watched that fight, and if anyone can win through losing, I think you did that, because I don't know anybody personally who would lose like that. You could have just thrown in the towel. You could have just said, you know, I can't see anything. You know, I've broken my nose. There's no point in me continuing. But until the last second, you were trying to take his head off.
Listen.
So it was a win in a loss. But I messaged you after that, because I thought this is going to be a potential turning point, and a potential, like, you're going to learn from this, and you're going to potentially just, it's going to really help you in the long run. But again, like, no one wants to lose at something. So that must have been a really difficult period, and no one will probably experience that in their lives, but they might experience something smaller. I remember messaging, you know, I was reading GSP, George St. Pierre's book at the time, and he lost to Matt Serra. He got caught with an overhand right. He got knocked TKO and stuff, and that was his first loss. And on the books, looking at them, it was kind of a similar story. Like, GSP was this amazing fighter. Matt Serra was smaller guy. He wasn't as as good, and on paper it should have been a clear victory. But BSP said that was the best thing that ever happened to him, because he looked at areas that he needed to kind of iron up on, and it really helped him in the future and become the legend that he became. So people won't experience that kind of pain and that kind of having to deal with a loss and all of that kind of stuff, and being in the public eye on a day-to-day basis, but they might experience it on, like, their relationship might fail, like their marriage might fail, or they might get sacked or lose their job, or so how did you deal with it? Because that's a big thing, I think, for anyone to. You must have had doubters, you must have had people saying to you, oh yeah, you know, all of that. So how do you work?
Bro, I've overcome so much adversity in my life that I couldn't again let that define me. If I had a magic wand, but I could wave it and I could take a loss, but I would take it back right now. But I can't. And it would be unfair to say that loss has taught me more than any of my 6 other wins have. I learned more in that one loss than I did in any of my other 6 wins. And that's not lie. That's not me just saying it because I took a loss. Like I said, if I could change it, I would. I'd change it right now, but I can't. But that taught me so much. It taught me not just fighting in the ring. It taught me everything. You know, it taught me, for example, that maybe that was the wrong weight class. Maybe because I was so comfortable making the weight, I shouldn't be boxing that weight, and I've moved down. And maybe it taught me. Maybe it showed people that, you know what, I'm not just here because, like, one of the main questions for any fighter is, does he have a chin? Does he have a heart? That's the main thing for any fighter. And in that fight, I showed everyone that, yeah, you know what, Inder does have a heart and Inder does have a chin. You know, maybe it taught me that. Maybe it taught me that the training might have been wrong. Like I said, I was in unbelievable physically, aesthetically, I was in the best shape of my life. But that was no good. I was too big. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm a boxer. Maybe it taught me that. But honestly, bro, it taught me so much. As an athlete, it taught me an unbelievable amount. If I could change it, I would, but I can't. But
so I guess it's around mindset, about seeing what on the outside it looks like a loss, right? But you know,
it's horrible though,
win because you've learned so much from it.
In boxing, you get written off sometimes. You take a loss and he's lost. Look, it's kind of game over for him. But I couldn't let it do it, so I come back, and I had to come back, and I had to, if not for nobody else, but for myself, you know, I had to show people that, you know what, I'm still here, I'm still fighting, I'm still Tiga. I took a loss, but I'm not finished, and that was one of the main reasons what kept me going. And even in the fight, bro, again, it comes down to representation. Representation is a very big thing for myself. If I took a loss or took a knee, and got knocked out, or, you know, bottled it in the second round, I can't fight no more, that would have an effect on the whole Punjabi Sikh community. People would have an image of Sikhs saying, oh, you know what, they ain't got the heart. Because, not unfairly, but because I done it, it's like the average person who's not Punjabi would think I'm a representative of all people. Does that make sense? Like, for example, nobody heard of what's his name? Khabib, Dagestan. No one heard Dagestan, but because of Khabib, they do. And now they believe because of Khabib that everybody from Dagestan is strong and fierce and blah blah blah. But that's might be true, might not be true. But people who have a preconception because of Khabib, because he's in the media, he's the only Dagestani in the media. People think everyone's going to be like him. So if I took a knee, bro, if I took a knocked out, bro, all of a sudden, bro, all Punjabis would be weak, and all Sikhs would be weak and got no heart, and I couldn't let that happen. Everybody loses, bro, but I couldn't let people feel like, oh no, look, they're weak. Like I said, it's not fair because you know, my whole community gets branded because of me, but it's how it is.
How do you deal with that pressure? Because that seems like an awful lot of pressure to put on a young man.
It is, bro, but I don't know. If I'm honest, I don't know how. You got to just do it. There comes a point in life when you just have to do it. There might not be a why. There might not be a how. You just have to. You have to get down and grit your teeth and do it. And that's it. Because everything else, like I said, I can't let that pressure get to me. Because if it does, then that will affect my career. I must selfishly fight for myself, but the reason I fight is not because, oh no, I need some money to buy a new car. I have all of that stuff. I fight for my people. So it's kind of like a cycle. I fight for myself, but myself, the reason is not because, the average person is poor and he needs to break out of poverty. That's his reason, it's for my people. It's for representation. Like I said, I am, like, for example, I'll give you another example. So all my dad and all my uncles, they're all big. They're all just big guys. And the average, they don't really know about Punjabi people that much, especially from Essex. When you're in London, everybody knows. But when you go out of London, into like sticks, they don't. And, oh, mate, all your family are massive, aren't they? Oh, mate, where do you lot come from? Land of the Giants, blah, blah, blah. But again, it's representation. It's representation. When I had my first professional fight was when we were on Sky Sports. Obviously, there's security at the venues, and my granddad was coming to watch. And I said to my coach, I said, you know what, my granddad's coming. I just thought about it. I don't know how I even remember this. I said, my granddad is Amardari, but I said, my granddad, he's a baptized initiate. He's going to wear a sword when he comes, like a small dagger. When he comes, so security can't stop him. My coach said, what did you say? Like, he knows about my family. He knows my family, but he didn't know that. And I said, he's going to wear a sword. When he comes, he's going to be wearing a small sword, like a dagger-like sword, and he's going to be allowed in. You can't stop him, and you can't take it off. And my coach looked at me and said, are you being serious? I said, yeah. Like, I explained to him. He said, are you sure? I said, I promise you they're allowed to wear it. Sikhs are allowed to wear it. I said, there's not going to be 500 people wearing it. There's going to be probably about 10 people. I said, they don't drink. You'll never hear about it. You'll never see them waving it about. They won't stab no one, that kind of stuff. I said, it's just what it is. He found a promoter. He said, oh, listen, this is what can happen. Let the screw know. He said, yeah, that's fine. But that is representation. Do you know what I mean, bro? That's one of the reasons why I do it. That's one of the reasons why I couldn't stop. Because if I stop again, the story ends and that's it. It's done. It's over. Someone has to. If it's not, listen, I hope that there's a million Punjabi Sikh fighters, there's a million world champions, and they're all better than me, they're all stronger. But someone has to pave the way. I'm not saying it's me, but we have to push on. Like, it's not for me, but for my people, bro. We have to do it. We have to be able to represent. We have to do it. Literally, we have to. There's no, I can't bother today, I might stop. I have to. Have to, bro. As a community, we have everything. We have everything as a community. As a bunch, we have everything. But we need to break into, Sikh people love a drink, don't they? Sikh people love drinking. Sikh people love a good party. We have to kind of, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Listen, anyone can live their life how they want, but we need to let them know that we're not just here for a party or, just to have a good drink up at the pub. We're a bit more than that.
It is a shame when I went to university and I was a Monna, and people say, oh, what religion are you? Because I didn't used to drink. I was doing Thai boxing at the time, and so I was a bit strict in terms of lifestyle. And they'll say, what religion are you? You must be Muslim if you don't drink. I said, no, I'm Sikh. And they're like, well, Sikhs are the biggest drinkers though.
Same thing. I get the same thing every time, bro.
That was a public perception at my university. That's what we were known for.
That's it.
Which is a shame, because historically that's not what we were known for.
Far from it.
Yeah, and now I meet some older Gordon and they say, oh yeah, the largest volunteer regiment in British Army's history, and the Sikhs, and my grandfather fought with Sikhs and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the older Gordon, I think, have some more awareness of
that's right.
But it's incredible. And one thing I really like about you is I follow a lot of Sikh athletes, and when I like their post, I always see your name there as well, and it is in the comments, like, you're always encouraging to other people. It's not like you feel like, oh well, if this guy's taking my light, then there's going to be less light on me. It's you constantly supporting people, whether it's MMA, boxing, other up and down stuff. It's really really
we're a small, time and time again I tell everybody this, we're a small community. We don't have millions and millions in the population, and we are spread out, but we're not, as in, like, we're not everywhere in that sense. If I don't support another guy, a Punjabi banda, who is? And if listen, he needs to support me. He might not like me, but when you see us sing, bro, like, a couple of my non-Punjabi, my Gordon friends, Gali, whatever, when I'm out there and I see us sing, I always just nod your head. They said, do you know every single Sikh person? Because obviously they know, like, I always bump into someone, they'll be like, oh, Inder, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. But I'll say, listen, even if I don't know, I'll still nod, like, out of respect. There's not many of us. there's not many Sikh people, and if I do, I'm happy to see one. That's as simple as simple. I don't care who he is or where he's from, whatever. He's a Sikh banda. We would not. It's just a thing. You know what I mean? I don't care if he doesn't like me or he doesn't support me or whatever. That's just people's own insecurities amongst themselves. Like I
Yeah,
said,
no,
but we've got bigger issues at hand.
yeah, I really
People
appreciate that
argue.
about you, and that's probably, parenting again and stuff, because I've noticed in the Sikh community when, like with Jagmeet Singh, I had my clinic, had a lot of patients. I thought it was really inspiring that there's an Apna going for, the highest seat in politics in Canada, and
In
then people
Canada,
say, oh yeah, but the star's not the right color, or he danced during his party, and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
this so, yeah, I don't feel like we're, as a, not yourself, I think you're the complete opposite, but I think as a community, I don't think we support each other
Yeah.
like we
But bro,
should.
listen, people sit there arguing the Godfather about this, that. Like, we've got bigger issues at hand as a population, as a culture, as a religion, as a calm. We've got so much going on. People want to argue about things going on in the Godfather. Obviously, if something's wrong, it's wrong. But like small things or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know some of the stuff. People are wasting the time not realizing that. Get out of that box and let's do something.
Yeah,
We
there's
can spend a
so
whole
much.
life sitting. I can spend my whole life arguing with my next door neighbor.
Yeah, and there's so
It
much
ain't gonna
time and
happen.
energy wasted on infighting,
Wrong things.
and we can't make progress because of we're too busy fighting
It
amongst
needs to be like,
ourselves.
you know, people have a lot of people have a voice in our community, but they don't use it in the right way. I don't feel.
Yeah, and
Or
working
they
in the
use it might to
NHS.
gain themselves or something. But like, everyone's trying to get something for themselves. But not many people put the calm before themselves, and that's the key thing. The calm, the band comes first. You know, the sangat comes first, but people don't realize, and maybe one day they will, or maybe I don't know. But time will tell, bro.
I was working in Homerton, which is near Hackney,
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
not too far from you, and
yeah. So,
um, my I went to see a chaplain because we had this Jewish patient, and
sorry.
the chaplain said, "I'm already aware." He said, "Anytime any person in the Orthodox community gets admitted into hospital, the synagogue will be notified and will come out to make sure they've got kosher food, they're looked after, they've got their own
There you go. Yeah.
needs met." And I thought that's remarkable. They
Mm.
knew that this guy was in hospital
Already. Yeah.
already, and he wasn't an important member of the community. He was just a part of the congregation. So
Yeah.
the cohesiveness that community had, they had their own separate area for Orthodox Jewish patients, and which they funded, they paid for themselves within the hospital. So everything was the way they needed it to be had. But the way they looked after each other, I felt like that's another small community, but they've done a really good job at supporting each other and looking out for each other and putting things in
Exactly.
place.
Yeah, man. There's so much we can do, but it just takes time, bro. I think we're slowly moving towards that.
Yeah,
Just time,
hopefully we'll
bro.
get there. During COVID, I think everyone stopped doing what they were supposed to be doing and then ended up
Mm.
just going for runs or doing what they could. But
Yeah.
you're probably the only person I know who consistently trained throughout COVID.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And how did you do that? How did you stay motivated when the whole world was
Mm.
losing their minds and
Mm.
had completely dropped off?
Training for me, bro, is a part of my life. So like, it's part of who I am. My whole family, we train and got a little gym in the back, got in the back shed. So I was just making the most of it, you know. My brothers, I used to train my little brothers, and we used to just. When you see training as something you have to do or something external that you have to do to keep fit, it becomes, it's like anything. But when you do it because you just want to, it's just part of your life. You just do it. So I was just doing that, you know. I don't know, but it was something to do. Like you said, the whole world kind of shut down, didn't it? And I remember the first lockdown, no one knew what was going on. But doing what I can, man. It's always about doing what you can with whatever you've got. Just got to make do, you know, whatever cards you dealt with, whatever's happened, just got to carry on. Just got to, the goal doesn't change, you know, it might evolve, but it doesn't actually change. And whatever happens, we've got to keep edging every day, edging towards that goal. And it's who I am training. Like I said, it's not that I say I train like a madman every day. I have days off and I have a week off and I'm not fighting, but I still, if I'm having a week off, I'm still thinking about boxing. You know, I've just had a fight on a Friday. I'll still have a few days off, but I'll still think about boxing. I'll still think about training. It's just how it is, bro. Just got to be strong. Got to keep pushing all the time, every day, bro. Got to keep pushing. Got to keep working hard every day.
Amazing.
I was doing what I can, bro.
And what's on the horizon for you? What's next?
So I boxed about 3 weeks ago. I won. They've told me a date, but it's not been announced, so I can't actually announce it. It should be soon. Do you know what I mean? End of May, beginning of June time. Just waiting for the date to be confirmed, then I can announce it. I'm staying ready. I'm training. Hopefully by the end of this year, I'll be fighting for titles. This is when it gets kind of not serious, but this is when the fun and the seriousness kicks in when you're fighting for titles. You compete for titles, but I'm excited. Do you know what I mean? It's the possibilities are endless, and I feel like the road's finally here. You don't start fighting for the titles in your second professional fight. I'm not Lomachenko, but the time's now, so I'm just got to play your cards right, push on, and like I said, hopefully by the end of this year I'll be fighting for titles, and I can't wait.
And how can people come and watch? How can they follow you? How can they follow you?
So to be honest, I'm only on Instagram, Inder Bassi _. I usually post all my updates on there and stuff, and tickets, and how to just contact me directly. I'm always available. Drop a message. And Instagram's the only kind of thing I use, because the more like my coach said, get Twitter, get this. I said it's this headache. I can't be bothered to keep up with it all. I can have all the media outlets in the world, but of course they're part of my sport. I need them in a way, but I'm not able to dedicate a lot of my time. I'm already always on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to have another app that's always going to keep me glued to it. I'm trying to stay away from that stuff. It's relevant. It keeps you relevant in society, but how much can you do, bro? I'm only on Instagram.
100%. And you're not a professional influencer. You're a professional boxer. So,
exactly. But if I do become a professional influencer in the coming years, then maybe I'll think about it. But I don't think I will be.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for all that you do. I know that you're constantly. Last time I met you, you were doing a talk in Coventry.
That's right.
Is, very far from you. So I really appreciate how much seva that you do. I know you do the weeklies.
No, I appreciate it, but don't need to thank me, bro.
So it's really nice that you're still dipping into the community on a weekly basis and doing seva, and so thank you for all that.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for taking time out and having a conversation, bro. I appreciate it a lot.